All right. So I'm going to start with system platform and OMI, new features in the 2023 R2. The main feature of this release is going to be the new OMI web client. This is a highly performant and highly scalable OMI experience inside the browser client. It's actually very easy to use. All you need to do is just to create the view app as you would usually do. And instead of deploying it on a view engine, this time you're going to deploy it on a web view engine. The OMI web client supports integrated Windows security if you need that. And once you open it, it will show you all the applications that you have deployed on it. As you can see here in the video, the application running does all the things you would expect it to do. You can maximize, resize panes, and it will resize the graphics on there too. You can also do things like pinch zooming and all of the other cool touch features. All right. Also, AVEVA made a major improvement in the IDE. So you'll see that the IDE, in the IDE, there's a new search bar that allows you to go and search for something specific and view it inside a tree, for example, an object, a template, etc. Or you can specify it as a list and see if there is a warning or an error associated to it. You can just hover your mouse over it and it will the tooltip will show you if it's checked out. And if you make any changes to it, of course, if it's already deployed and you check it in, then it will show you again that there are some pending updates for deployment. Additionally, there's a dot menu, which is new also in the 2023 R2, that's been added to the tree. And there is a handy guide to all of the icons, as you can see here on the screen. If you bring it up, it will show you and tell you what each icon means, basically. This is actually a cool feature that I like. AVEVA added a new feature, which is to embed content in runtime. That means that you can add industrial graphics into industrial graphics at runtime by simply specifying an XY position and adding all of the custom properties as you require. As you can see here on the click, and it's just, it adds the graphics for you, basically. You can also go and add multiple graphics simultaneously. You can right-click on them and delete them, etc. And you have the ability to also select any of these graphics and change them or change their custom properties as needed. So basically, you can actually move them around and, zoom in, zoom out. The most important thing is that these graphics are actually behaving as if they're embedded into the background graphics. So zooming, panning, and that type of functions, and all of these features will work as expected, as if those graphics are actually part of the original background graphic. So if you zoom into the screen, as you can see here, you'll basically be zooming into those embedded graphics also. All right, so I'll pause here for just a second. Our next feature is the multi-language support. AVEVA's improved language support a lot, so that if you use things like alias names or internationalized strings and you have translations available for them, you can simply go and switch to a different language. And all of these internationalized strings, including Boolean on-off messages, engineering units, even the descriptions inside the trend control will all change to the new language that you've chosen. In this release, also AVEVA integrated all of their products with Connect experience of operations control. So if you open an IDE, for example, for the first time, you've never logged into this machine, let's say, it's going to challenge you for the credentials. You can log into your AVEVA Connect ID, and after this, it is a single sign-on through all of the products. All of the products are aware exactly of who the user is, what entitlements they have, and the licensing that that user has available for them. It integrates seamlessly for single sign-on. So if I do connect to a Galaxy, for example, it already knows who I am, and all the cloud tools that are available will immediately, or all the cloud tools associated will immediately be available to me without having to do any additional logins, basically. In terms of security, since the user is now in a connected experience, their security roles are defined by AVEVA Connect. And of course, all of this translates into All My. So if the user opens All My, for example, it already knows who the person is. That trend control, that historian trend control inside of All My also knows who that user is. And pretty much anything on that machine knows the user, and again, their entitlements and their licenses. Another thing, which is buffering or global buffering. AVEVA also added global buffering. As you know, it used to be possible to do that per individual IOs, right? I'm pausing here just hopefully you guys can see the video also at the same time as I'm speaking. But they now, in the backstage, right? In the IDE, you can go to configure communication, and then advanced communication management, and you could enable this auto buffering, which basically will make all IO behave as buffered IOs. So this global buffering was not available before the 2023 R2 release. Last thing I want to mention is this alarm latching. AVEVA also added a new feature for alarm latching. Before 2023 R2, we had the following states, basically, of alarms. There are two, hold on, let me play this again. There is a normal state where, sorry, the videos are not friendly today. All right, there you go. So I was saying that we had two states of alarms. Basically, there is a normal state where nothing is going on and the alarm gets raised and now it's active and acknowledged. And there's basically two ways to get out of that state. You can acknowledge the alarm, and then at some point in the time you will return to normal, and we go back to normal state. The alternative to that is it can return to normal first. And then it just waits for the acknowledgement before it goes back to the normal state. But now in the 2023 R2 release, we've added an optional new latch that allows you to go into the latch state, and it requires a dismiss to actually remove the alarm from the screen. As you can see here, this is the blue box right here. So that's I think that's everything I have for System Platform and All My, or at least those are the features that I chose to fit into this presentation. There's more than that for sure. But I'm going to jump into the AVEVA Historian new features also. And in the 2023 R2, I've noticed that most of the new features are actually related to the clients. So I'm going to start by talking about, I think, 3 or 4 new features related to the web client. And then maybe a couple of other features related to the thick clients, the trend and the query tools. All right, so the first new feature or group of features that actually are in the Historian client web again, there's significant improvement, especially in the modern look where we've added the ad hoc expressions. Those were actually added in the 2023. And improved a lot of the detailed functionality and usability. Another thing, as you can see here on the screen, is that additionally to exporting to a CSV, now you could export to an Excel also. Exporting to Excel using the add-ins, custom functions to create a dynamic spreadsheets. The last thing that I want to mention is that the last two things I want to mention is that the configuration utility, the configuration export utility includes storing the historian client and, historian client charts and dashboards. And finally, the alarm history grid now has much richer sorting and filtering, as you could see here. If it would allow me to go back to that. There you go. So all of these filtering and sorting options were not available necessarily before the 2023 R2. So we've added a bunch of these. And again, obviously all of this is still read only, but it looks better and there are more options here for filtering and sorting. Another thing that I wanted to mention about the historian client or historian client AVEVA is also continuing to expand the ad hoc expression support, adding some new functions and adding support within the Historian client desktop thick client, which are the trend and the query tools. As you can see here, typing an expression, it plots that result for you in the trend. This was not available before the 2023 R2. Multilingual applications are supported also, where you could have multiple language versions of the same property, for example, in English, German, French, and Chinese, and a bunch of other languages here. So this is regarding Historian. Again, I've only chosen a few of the new features. There's more, there are more new features in the R2 release. I've only included maybe 5 or 6 here. The next part that I wanted to talk about, and the last part of this presentation, is what is new in InTouch, or InTouch HMI 2023 R2. There are a few updates actually since the 2023 that I also wanted to go through, like the application modern UI UX, new UI UX development environment, the application manager, and InTouch window maker has a modern look with streamlined workflows for increased engineering efficiency. We actually have, there's a comparison here between the 2020 to the right side and the 2023 to the left side. Window Maker now has 2 themes. So there's the light theme and then there's the dark theme. These actually come in handy with some different types of screens. And then there's also a backstage in the Window Maker also, similarly to the IDE, where you could do things like log into your AVEVA Connect, import, export, and do the configuration. This is also where you would do something like logging data into the Historian, right? This is also a 2023 feature, but I thought it's worth bringing up here. It's actually longer tag names and item names, which is, to better support modern controllers. The number of characters in the tag name length, tag name description, and item name length have been extended. As you can see here, the item name went from 79 to 254 characters. So we could, you could see a significant improvement there. Graphic version management in AVEVA Cloud. As I mentioned, now everything is connected, or everything is part of this connected experience. So industrial graphics support versioning through AVEVA Development Studio. This enables collaboration and standardization by providing the ability to manage and publish multiple versions of the graphics to the cloud. If I go a few slides back, actually, you can see here, this is where you would log into your AVEVA Connect account. Once you log into your AVEVA Connect account from your window maker, I believe you would create a folder specifically for the graphics that you want to upload to the cloud. And then those graphics that you have uploaded to the cloud are available everywhere, anywhere for you. If you want to utilize them inside, if you want to utilize them, even for a system platform, InTouch for system platform, that's also possible. And OMI, of course. So that's what I mean by graphic version management in AVEVA Cloud. But this is available for Flex licenses or Flex license holders only. All right, so EAC, enhanced language switching at runtime. Again, the events and alarms client control support for runtime language switching has been enhanced to provide a better user experience for operators with applications in international markets. So now we have group name translations. You can query and filter using the translated group names. There is scripting support with the translated group name and group name support in Language Assistant. InTouch Web Client is actually an older feature, but they keep on improving it. So I thought I would also put it into here in case you're not familiar with the web client or what is InTouch Web Client. It gives you access to the plant floor data using any HTML5 browser from any device. It displays real-time and historical data from InTouch HMI or system platform. It doesn't require programming, and it uses the existing navigation or simply points to a folder with a selected graphics. The InTouch Web server can run on both Microsoft Windows Server or Workstation. No IIS web server or RDS required, which means a cheaper overall solution with a reduced IT hardware and software cost. The updates, specifically in the 2023 version onwards, are related to licensing. I'm going to skip this slide. Actually, it just tells you basically when is a connection considered basically one count of connection, right? So if someone logs in as a user, let's say, or user one on another machine or a browser, or if they switch user one to a different language, it wouldn't count as a separate connection. It will still count as the same connection. So this is an improvement in the 2023 onward. This is a very quick demo of the web client. So what we do here is we go into this local URL. In this case, it's actually on our local host, right? It could be anywhere on your on the same network. All you need to do is just to point at the IP address of that InTouch node. And as you can see here, just going through some of the process examples. Bottling line here is a process crane. And yeah, so we're also going through, I think we're going to show some of the trends. So the multi-pen trend is now supported on the web client. It was not previously. And not to be confused with the historian client trend. So alarms could be acknowledged from the web client, as you can see here. And also the trend pops up nicely here. So this is the multi-pen, this is the native InTouch trend. All right, so I think that's good for the web client, and it's not a 2023 feature, but I thought it's worth mentioning just because they keep on improving it. What's new in the 2023 onward also is workspaces. A workspace allows users to create a dashboard dynamically on the web. So from the web client, actually, at runtime in production. The workspace allows you to create dashboards to monitor the functioning of a system or flag an issue. You can create and modify workspaces from the web client itself. As I mentioned, I'll show you now where we're from in the demo. A workspace is tied to an application and will only display the graphics available under the workspace's toolset of the graphics toolbox in the selected application. So on your window maker, you would create a folder in your graphics library section. You would call that folder workspaces, and that's where you would basically copy or add all of the graphics that you would like to see in your workspaces on the web client. I know it's hard to talk about it. So I'll just show you how it looks like. So this is a normal web client that we're looking at right now. We're gonna exit the full screen to see where the workspaces are. Again, workspaces are part of the web client. So actually the licensing is, it just follows the web client licensing basically. We're clicking on the first workspace here. This is already being created. We created a dashboard. So we have few graphics here. They're all mapped into specific tags that we want to read from. You could change the tag that you're mapping into these graphics on the fly in the web browser itself. Just switching between different workspaces here. And then I believe we'll show you how to create a new one. So if you want to create a new workspace, these are the graphics available because those are the graphics that you have added in the workspace folder in your graphics library, basically. So you choose those in advance and you could create workspaces. And I think that's good for the workspaces. We move on then to the 2023 R2 features. The two main features are UDTs, as Mike has mentioned earlier. He showed you a video of that. And then there's also the OPC browsing. So first of all, what is a UDT? They're structures or templates, right? Similar to super tags in InTouch previously. Up to 2023, super tags were still there. 2023 R2, they were replaced with UDTs. If you're using super tags, they will still be supported. But I believe you no longer will be able to create new ones. It's also similar to class. in Edge. So user-defined data type are an extension of existing data types, Booleans, integers, real, etc. And they allow the user to create their own data types, basically. Some of the advantages of using UDTs are, well, efficiency, because UDTs allow more efficient creation of tags and objects. Modularity, using UDTs as building blocks or modular definitions. And then alignment with PLCs, because most PLCs and controllers have adopted UDTs now. I'll go ahead and show you another video. This one is a long one, so I'm going to be skipping ahead. But as you can see here, this is the 2023 window maker, 2023 R2 window maker. It has this user-defined type tab here. If you click on one, you will be able to create a new. We created a new UDT here. We called it tank, and then within that UDT, we create few members. We go ahead and create few members, contents, level, pressure, temperature. You adjust the properties from the right side here, and then you could basically create instances out of that UDT. So when you create an instance, it will pop up here in the bottom in the model tag name. You could also add the location, right? But if you, let's say, right click on it and say, create a new instance, you're creating a new instance, that instance will also inherit the same members. You cannot change the name or the type of the members at the instance level. You have to change them at the template level. But then you could change pretty much everything else. You could also, if you want to hard code it into a specific IO or specific reference, you're able to do that through here also. Again, I'm going to be skipping ahead. What we do in this video or in this demo is we go and create a couple of instances. So tank underscore 001, and then we create another one, tank underscore 002. It also inherits all the members. And to do bulk editing, so let's say you need to create 50 of these tanks now, and you don't want to do that through the window maker, you can also export the data to a JSON and open it in like a Notepad++ or something, or any other software that supports. And then all you need to do is to put it in a friendly format, and then copy that specific instance. And if you want to manipulate it, or just copy paste it and create as many instances as you want. Once you're done with that JSON, you just import it back. And good news is the bulk editing is going to change in the next, I believe in the next patch, which is coming up in a couple of months, as far as I know. This is going to change, and they're going to create a GUI for this import-export process. So it's a little bit more friendly than having to do it in a JSON file.
Hey, Constance, we have a question in the chat. How are references set in UDT instances for IO tags?
So let me pause for. So again, on the right side here, if you see, we're in tank 3, which was created through the export-import process. This level, for example, level member in tank 3 is now edited on the right side here. You can actually create, hold on, where is it? There should be somewhere here where you're hard coding if you'd like to. You could hard code the reference here to the properties, or when you do a DB dump, when a DB load, you can also add the references there as you would usually do. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, Kansa, I think it's because it's a memory integer type and not a IO.
Yeah, so yeah, it has to be an IO type here in order for it to accept the IO reference. Thank you, Tom. But that's where you would usually change it in the properties side. And if you go to the tag name dictionary, it will pop up there with all of these properties, including the IO reference. All right, so the rest of the video just goes through how to create a graphic and immediately map through the, because you can browse assets now. So it's much easier to map the references. As you could see, if you go to the model tag here, tag name here, you just drag and drop that specific instance member, which is leveled from tank 1, and just browse for a graphic, as you can see here, once you choose the graphic, everything is going to be immediately referenced for you. So you don't have to go through the referencing. It saves you a lot of time. This specific graphic has maybe 2 custom properties, but some of them has quite a few. So as you can see here, you didn't have to actually type in this or search for it. It just, it basically takes whatever properties associated to that specific attribute that you have mapped to it. I see a lot of questions in the, or a lot of chat, at least. Let me just pause for a second.
I think we're up to speed on all the chat. I don't think we've got any open and answered questions yet.
Oh, perfect. All right, so that's that. I'm just gonna, again, for just a few moments here to show you the runtime. We've added the alarm grid here. What we're doing here is we're actually simulating data. So we go ahead, like type in a value, and that value goes into, for example, like tank 1 level. It shows you the value here on the graphic. And if you have a, for example, if you've set out the alarm limit, it will also pop up here on the alarm grid. So that's simply a very, very high overview of what UDTs are. Again, it's a cool new feature, and I know for sure that AVEVA keeps on working on it and improving it, and we're expecting more in the next 3 days. So this is for the UDTs. And by the way, we do have workshops coming up, at least one workshop coming up, where I will be going through these UDTs and OPC browsing and the rest of the new features. So if you guys are interested, we'll make sure to put the link in the chat, and feel free to register and join us virtually. The next and the last feature I have here, I think I'm over time, but it's the OPC browsing. This is going to be a little bit shorter. OPC UA browsing capabilities. This was not also available before the 2023 R2. So in the past, you would have had to do the process basically of creating IO tags, included importing the IO list from the data source, creating access names. Those are the names or the nodes that talk to your OI server or communication drivers. Then you get into creating the tags, right? Defining or configuring data types and IO addresses. And well, this user is not very happy with that. So now AVEVA came up with this nice feature of OPC UA browsing. This user is happy now. So as you can see here in this demo, I don't know if this is playing already. Yes, it is. Once you set up, so inside of your OI gateway, OPC, we create this OPC UA node, and we are browsing. Once the connection is established, we're browsing within this OPC server here. As you can see, there's this furnace one, for example, and expanding that furnace one UDT, I would call it. Within that, there are elements, right? So all of these elements, let's say we're interested in having them all into our InTouch or within our InTouch application, instead of having to do it the normal way, creating the tags the normal way, you would now go into your window maker, and where it's saying tag dictionary here, there's this small arrow pointing down. You click on that, and you would see the new feature, which is external providers, namely the OPC UA server. Once you click on that, your OPC UA server that you were just browsing in the OCMC is now popped up here, and you go and search for, you know, the points that you're interested in, and it's just a matter of dragging and dropping the entire UDT into your or the specific point into your model tag name here, and everything pops up here with all the properties and all the attributes that you might need. And then we just go on with, you know, if you click on it, it will pop up here in your tag name dictionary. Obviously, these will count as tags. I'm going to go ahead again, just because I'm over time. You'd see the reference here in the item name. And we go ahead and create a new simple graphic here. And we also map it into that temperature of furnace 1. And in the runtime, we just show you how it's working, basically how it's simulated. And that's that for OPC browsing. And I think that's all I have actually for new features for 2023 R2.